Yo, what's up, guys? More Siege stuff. We played the Siege against. Wait, who did we play against? We played against Spartacus and Mini Yigi, and it was a pretty interesting Siege. We did find a bunch of hits that I would normally not hit that way. So maybe I was toying around slightly a bit. Well, this is pretty common offense. This is one of those offenses, if you have it ruined, definitely use it. I think it's nearly usable every Siege. Yeah, I would say so. And yeah, there's not too much stuff that can go wrong here. Like, to be honest, it is possible for the burn not to go super mental, but Keeklets in most cases don't have too much damage as this one. Chandra can do some damage here and there, but how is this burn ever going to kill anything? I really dislike this defense, in all honesty. We had a few guildies that were saying like, oh yeah, we should run this too at like the last tournament. I was like, how the hell is how you're supposed to kill a windy? Like, if a windy's properly ruined, like it's like, ooh, you almost did damage to the windy. This team, like, to be honest, if your guild is running this, I would recommend you to not run it because there's just a lot of ways to counter it, and it's not just this team. Like any windy team, kind of counters it pretty hard. So yeah, let's slightly speed up this team because we kind of know how this works. And we have a bunch more interesting teams, creative teams, teams that your guildies are like, please do not use this. My guildie was like, why are you doing this? I was like, at least I put the best of the best runes that I have on it. And they were like, yeah, okay, because of that, maybe it kind of works. At least the best of the best that I have. Doesn't mean like it's the best runes out there, definitely not. But yeah, if you do re-rune everything to like a proper standard, I could say that you can get away with weirder comps. Would still recommend to go kind of for meta comps in most cases, but what do you? So in this case, maybe a little bit like this. Like, have we seen Keeklets in offense yet? No. Is Keeklet per se good in offense? No. Would my Carcano maybe have died there in the very first turn? No, I don't think so either, actually. Because the Carcano actually has a decent amount of tanky stats and everything in there, so I kind of doubted it would die, but this is kind of like doing Siege back in the old days. You kind of take a weird ass bruiser team and you just bruiser it out and you just see where it goes from there kind of style instead of what we are very used to right now is like the most safe thing, windy in there or one shots or anything like that. This was more of those, I would say like they're not units that you would use per se back in the days, but old school style as in yeah, it's not the safest of offenses, but it definitely gets away, and I probably was doing chilling here for a little bit. But yeah, if the team is looking like this, and still Elucia, we've all seen Elucia like 1,000 times. I would say for net 4 offense, it's still pretty much one of the most solid things out there. It's just so much sustain, so much stun, so much sleep, so much everything, so much damage into the next one. This is still pretty typical offense. Trust me, there are going to be more wonky offense, but this one is still very typical, and I had to use it against the, well, the same old, same old. Interesting thing is, like, okay, it actually starts to use that S2. I'm not entirely sure what, maybe you guys can let me know in the comments. I haven't tested a Lionel or whatever that guy is, what the Wind Ezio, too much. What does he prefer to use? Does he go for the S3 or does he actually like to go for some S2, and what does he throw the S2 on? Is it like the highest HP? Is it like the highest defense? Is it whatever comes next in attack bar? Is that a very dead Carcano in 2 hits? Yikes. But yeah, to be honest, if you would run this on defense, I would recommend you to say like, okay, go for a Carcano, pretty high on the damage. Maybe it can snipe something out in a proc era there, but that is probably your best way of clearing this, or I don't know. But yeah, in the end, Feng Yang team, it mostly works. Then we had a little Grogan team. I'm happy to see some Nanas coming back, especially with Julian, because both of them are like saying like, I don't mind how it works, if it's going to work, but that is just very much Grogan on the field. And Grogan, I would go for damage on water on this. You could go extra damage on light that you make sure that you kill the Julian, even though it's not armor broken, but that's very dead. Then we have some offenses that my guild was like, what is this? So this is partially our defense. So I was like, okay, I pretty much hard outspeed this whole team. So I might as well just start with an S1. and then from there go into some cycling and doing some stuff like that. I was like, I could not really hit anything else, so might as well just hit it again, and then hit it again, and then it's pretty much dead already. And yeah, this is where the point is where your guildie is like, can you please take stuff seriously and rune proper stuff? Well, I'm like, it's properly runed. It's definitely properly ruined. The only issue is it's not the way how you're supposed to siege. But hey, I didn't even lose a single unit. I was barely hit. It totally worked out. These units do too much damage. That's just, I would say, a lot of runes. Something like that. Definitely did work out quite a bit better than I expected, not gonna lie. So then the next one, this is definitely where your guild is like, dude. Dude, what the fuck is this? Yeah, what the actual fuck is this? So, my Robo was actually on my RTA set. The Wind Robo was on my RTA set. The Dark Robo was on my Despair, like my absolute best Despair set. And then I threw my Oliver RTA set on the Sylph, and then also threw like the best artifacts I have on all of that. So this is where you get comments as you have seen in the thumbnail. Oh man. And then we had a very nice offense as well. I didn't really re-rune this one as properly. Should have maybe properly re-runed it, but I was like, we're gonna try this. And funny enough, everything focused on that unit, and then trying to hit that again didn't really work out. This was actually on Vio, funny enough, still did a lot of damage that way. That thing was on Despair Nem, if I'm not mistaken, and that thing was Vio Nem, but that was a lot of damage from an Ayunu. And the fun part is you have like a team that is supposed to die, that didn't die and cleared it fully. Oh man, yeah. So then the next hit, I should have ruined this one more proper, I would say. I was somewhat low on the damage on the Sonya. So in this case, it did do a 53k, which is not too bad, but could have been a little bit better for this thing, I would say. And then the idea is you just have to destroy Chow, and destroy Chow should technically 2v1 this team, and that's pretty much that. And Galleon just helps out a little bit for the 2v1ing in there. They were on destroy in this case as well, but you should be 100 res. I was like 94 or something. But I ruined this one a little bit too fast on the fly at the moment that we already won the whole siege kind of stuff-ish thingy. So at that point I was like, probably is fine, but no, I should actually properly ruin this team if I want to make it work. The Chow was on pretty high damage, I would say, though. Could lower the damage a little bit and then go for much more tanky stats, speedy stats. And then we have this team, which is a very typical team, which we have seen quite a bunch already. And I would say that this is one of the cleanest arena offenses, or not arena offense, siege offenses in the game right now. Pretty much everything that doesn't have too much single target damage, you can kind of clear this way. They start taking a whole bunch of turns, but the only thing was, like, I noticed that they weren't critting too much. I was like, okay, I'll just kill off the Nefties first because it removes the heal block. And the Liu Mei is annoying with pushbacks and stuff like that, but it's not as bad as heal block. So, and they were not critting that much. So for that reason, I was like, yeah, if I want to keep those Camilla cleanses in, probably have to heal block it. And then from there, you're pretty much good to go. And then on the final hit of today, a variation to, well, Nefty's team. Normally I did it with a Robo. I kind of like the Robo variant a little bit more, but since I already did do the Robo in a different team, I had to do this, and then Tiana becomes the damage dealer, which she is okay-ish at. But if that thing would have procced out there, I might have had some issues. That thing actually does like to proc quite some there. Resisted that one there, so I might actually still have issues. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm liking this version too much. I was thinking about doing the Isabel version, but that would have been even worse because you cannot crit a Kaki. So kind of still have to figure out my way of going for this one. But in this case, we took enough turns that we have the S3 up from Tiana, S2 from the Nefties. A little bit more on that, and then we can finish it off with a Verret S3 if he doesn't proc on an S2 right now, but he did it. So luckily enough for that, and that was the 10-10. So Slightly bit more creative offenses here and there. I had to hit some of the net fours, and with net fours, I particularly like to use the non-standard net 4 clears and go for some creative stuff as if it was a net 5. That's also why you mostly see me hit net 5s. In net 5s hitting, I can be a lot more creative. In net 4 hitting, it's pretty standard, like you go for your typical teams, whatever. The guild is set up as your typical team and everyone's copying each other and people run that like 7 times in a row. And in my case, I like to do a little bit of variety here and there, so for that case, hitting that for some creative way is definitely fun. And guys, hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.